Hi there, this is Catherine Rudolph, Certified Nutrition Consultant, and I'm going to review quickly how to make a gallon batch of fermented kombucha tea. And I'm going to have a link below this video for those of you who are interested in learning how to make it. It's step-by-step instructions, but I'm going to be doing a class on that, and I have out-of-town people who won't be able to attend that class, so I thought for my friends and for those people I'd go ahead and make a quick video. All right, so the first thing you do is I'll get the water started to boil before I explain what all the ingredients are so that we have time. All right, so I have 1 quart of reverse osmosis water that I put into an 8-quart pan. I believe it's an 8-quart pan because we're going to need enough room for the rest of the water. So what we're going to do is make, in the simplest terms, a gallon of sweet tea, and then we're going to pour it into this gallon glass jar which has a SCOBY in it. And a SCOBY is a symbiotic cultured yeast organism. I forget what it stands for. Anyway, that's what that's what ferments it, is the SCOBY. So the first step is to boil a quart of clean water, and make sure it's reverse osmosis or distilled because you don't want chlorine, fluoride, and you have to use organic ingredients as well because the SCOBY is very sensitive to bacteria, bad bacteria. It's a good bacteria in itself. Sensitive to bad bacteria and all the junk in tap water and all the preservatives and all that. So organic and clean water, all right? So the ingredients are, we're gonna need a cup of sugar. We're gonna need a wooden spoon. You wanna make sure that it's a wooden spoon because metal can somehow, cause a problem in the tea. And then you wanna get organic green tea. I get green tea. You can use black tea, but I get green tea due to the higher antioxidants. You can get a big box of that. You're going to use 6 or 7 tea bags for the whole batch. This is the kind of sugar that I get. It's organic, just organic cane sugar. And then if you want to flavor your kombucha when you're done with the whole process, and I can just walk through that, but I personally use grape juice. It's just my favorite. You put like an ounce in each bottle when you bottle it, but this is for second fermentation. So there's first fermentation and second, all right? So anyway, you always want, again, organic, and then I get pressed because I don't want it from concentrate. I want the real thing. You could even actually juice your own grapes, or you could use frozen berries. I use frozen cherries sometimes, which work out really well. So this is just about boiling, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tea bags out. Oh, and before I do that, paper bag here. This is to slip over our kombucha tea once we are fermenting it. So again, we make the sweet tea, pour it in here. It's going to sit for 14 days in culture and create all that wonderful carbonated fermented beverage that detoxifies, alkalizes. You'll have all that information below. You don't need me to go through that, but anyway, so I just cut the bottom out of a bag like this, and I'll slip it over. That keeps it dark, so I don't have to put it in a closet or something, because you want it to get airflow. All right, so the water's boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner off completely, and I've got my 6 bags of tea here ready to put in here. I'm going to stir that in. All right, now I set the timer for 15 minutes. And I will be back in 15 minutes to check on the tea, because all we're doing right now is just steeping the tea bags. The burner's completely off. All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back, and our tea is almost done, just a couple minutes to go. It's still steeping. One thing that I wanted to mention that I forgot to when we started this was what is in this gallon jar. This first 16 ounces here is just plain unflavored kombucha tea. So you have the SCOBY, the unflavored kombucha tea, and then the rest we will fill up with our sweet tea, and that's how it will ferment. For those of you who are unfamiliar with kombucha tea, the GTs is raw, so I recommend that because some of the other brands are not raw, and it has to be raw to be true kombucha and to make a new batch. Anyway, so this is a 16-ounce bottle. You pour it, well, you want to get it to room temperature first, then you'll pour it in with a SCOBY. You can get a SCOBY from a friend, you can get one online. I'm going to be doing a class and hopefully have some extra SCOBYs for people to class, but it always has to be in kombucha tea so that it doesn't die, because the SCOBY is a living organism, and every time you do create or brew a batch of kombucha tea, you're going to get a new SCOBY form on top. It kind of looks like a pancake, and it'll shape it'll start as like a film over a few days. If you peek at it, which is no problem, you don't want to move the jar once you have the tea in it fermenting. But if you just take the coffee filter, that's what this is, a coffee filter to keep gnats, bugs, whatever, dust out. You can peek at it and you'll see like a film, like a white film start to cover the top, and that will turn into a SCOBY, which kind of looks like a pancake. So you'll have what they call the mother, and then it makes a baby. It keeps making babies. So then you can have a SCOBY hotel where you just store them in case you have a problem or want to share with one of the friends. I've heard of people having their kombuchas mold. I've not had that problem. I've been doing this for quite a long time. I have 3 gallons going, and yeah, no problem. So anyway, okay, so our tea's basically done here. It's going to beep in a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and take the tea bags out. And I'm going to stir in the sugar and dissolve that sugar in the tea. Now, the way I do this is I'm going to add cool, like room temperature water to this hot water to get it to room temperature. Some people will put the whole thing, make the whole gallon of tea, hot tea, and let it sit, for 8 hours or whatever till it gets to room temperature. But what I do instead is I make a quart of the sweet tea, and then I add the cooler water to it. It's just basically just, tap temperature. And that brings it to the temperature that we need. The temperature there's our timer. The temperature needs to be, for the 14 days, well actually anytime, it needs to be between 69 and 80 degrees, the actual, what goes in this jar, because if it gets cooler than that, it actually will kind of like freeze it, and it can kill it. And if it gets warmer than 80 degrees, it can mold, and it can also kill the SCOBY. So it's kind of a sensitive, it's a sensitive organism, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so my sugar is pretty much dissolved in here, and I've already measured out the water. Now, this is a gallon jar, like I said before, so since there's 16 ounces in here already, you technically need 3.5 quarts to add to it, but, okay, so I have the water ready to pour in here. And of course, I've done this enough times, I know exactly how much in the pan is going to fill up our container. All right, so now give it one more stir, and I just know from doing this that it's a good temperature. And then I'm going to take the gallon, pull this off, and I'm going to very carefully pour the sweet tea in here without making a mess. Okay, that was pretty much it. So it filled it to the top. That's what you want to do, is fill it to the top. And then the SCOBY is going to form across the top here. So what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and put this back on here. I use a coffee filter. You can use a cloth or whatever. It's just to keep airborne stuff out of there. And you want to secure it like a rubber band or something. Now, you want to keep it in a dark place, but it's not good to put it in a cabinet because you want airflow. So that's why I kind of came up with the idea of putting a paper bag around it. So I will put this I put it upstairs. If you have a 2-story house and the temperature is closer to 75 degrees upstairs, then you'll want to put it upstairs. But the closer to 75 degrees, the better. And it takes anywhere from like 10 to 14 days to brew. We call it a brew. Slip this over that. And then I put a Post-it on it, which I have it over here. I have a Post-it, and I put on mine, God bless my kombucha, so that it brews properly and doesn't mold. Maybe that's why mine doesn't mold. And then I'll put the date of 14 days from today. You might also want to put it on your calendar in case this is somewhere that you're not seeing it every day so you don't forget about it. But it can brew all the way up to 30 days. So it depends on how sweet you want it. If you want it really sweet, then 10 days. But you're going to consume a lot of sugar if you do that. The longer you let it sit, the more sugar this SCOBY organism is going to eat and absorb. So about 14 days is where I think it's about moderate. It's still got a little bit of sweetness, so it tastes good. If you wait all the way up to 30 days, it's going to be very sour. If you like super sour, vinegary taste, then you might want to let it sit for 30 days. That's not a problem at all. All right, now, so the next step, this is going to sit aside, like I said, for 14 days and brew and create another SCOBY. And then the next step, let's say this is done. Let's pretend today's day 14. You're gonna pull this off. We're gonna have a new SCOBY up at the top there. We're gonna take the coffee filter out. Now, the next step would be you're gonna need like 7 or 8 empty kombucha bottles. I clean them out really well. And then, like I mentioned before, you're gonna need some kind of flavoring. Now, you don't have to do this. This is the first fermentation. You can drink it after the 14 days straight out of the jar, not a problem. But it's just gonna taste plain and boring. So I like to flavor it and do a second fermentation, which is where you're gonna add an ounce of grape juice or whatever juice you choose to each kombucha bottle. So you'll have 8 of these lined up, add an ounce at the bottom, and then get a funnel and start pouring your brewed kombucha tea into the bottles. And then you're gonna seal it off with a lid, each one tightly. And for 2 days, that's when you can put it in the cabinet. For 2 days, you can put these in the cabinet, and they will second ferment, which creates a carbonation and a little bit of alcohol, which is why they sometimes pasteurize them in the grocery stores now, which is ridiculous, because you want the live enzymes, you want all that. They're killing it by pasteurizing it. It kind of defeats the whole purpose. So really, if you're not making your own, make sure you're getting raw. Make sure you're getting the real thing. All right, and the probiotic cultures and all that, they can say probiotic on the bottle, but that doesn't mean it's raw. You want the enzymes, the acids. There's a lot of other benefits to this kombucha tea. All right. So anyways, you fill them up, put them in the cabinet for 2 days, and then they're ready to either drink, or you can put them in the refrigerator and store them for like up to almost a month, and they'll be fine in the refrigerator. And when you put them in the refrigerator, they stop that second fermentation process, so they're not going to carbonate anymore. So if you like it really carbonated, then again, you want to leave the bottles in the cabinet for, maybe up to a week. Now, you do have to be careful if you do that, because it'll get really carbonated. I mean, if you let it second ferment for like a week and you open it, it's going to just whoosh, majorly. So you might want to burp the bottles every few days if you're going to leave it at room temperature. Like I said, it won't hurt it. It'll make it more alcohol, more fermented. It won't be as sweet either. So again, it's by taste, what you like, and I have the instructions in a link at the bottom of this video, and hopefully you'll be able to make this and enjoy your own homemade kombucha for like $1 a bottle instead of some crazy $4 a bottle. And it tastes, I'm telling you, it tastes so much better than the store-bought. It's just amazing. So enjoy your kombucha. All right, catch you later.